Some miracles are whispered in shadows. Lena was one of the countless souls begging for salvation. 32. A widow. A ghost in the bustling streets of Eldoria, her life reduced to scavenging dark alleys for scraps. Every step echoed despair, a relentless reminder of the husband lost too soon. Each corner of the city, once vibrant with laughter and love, now taunted her with memories. Her child needed food, needed hope. An empty stomach howled louder than her whispered prayers. The alleys smelled of rot. Despair swirled around her like a shroud. A chill seeped into her bones as she clutched her cloak tighter. Muffled laughter from nearby taverns only deepened the ache in her heart. Streets filled with life, yet she felt utterly alone. The world had moved on without her. As night fell, shadows stretched, deepening the sense that even darkness would turn its back on her. But amidst her suffering, a tale brewed in the heart of Eldoria. The invincible Lycan King, Valdrin, lay on the brink of death. Once strong, once feared, now a shadow of his former self, he was rumored to feverishly toss in a grand chamber, trapped by the chains of his past mistakes. People whispered behind closed doors, exchanging pitying glances. A king who had ruled for centuries, crumbling like the very castle he inhabited. The people, no longer bound to him by fear, now spoke of him as they passed the castle walls, huddled together. Could it be true? They asked. The mighty king brought low? Lena had heard those whispers but thought little of them. A ruler's fate meant nothing to a woman like her. Her focus lay solely on survival, on her child. Yet Valdrin, at 4 centuries old, was a man shaped by duty. Even as a fever racked his body, the weight of all he had done pressed upon him. Faces of the villagers he had wronged haunted him. Their whispers echoed in the corners of his mind, mockery clothed in regret. Would he ever find redemption? Or would the ghosts of his past drown him in the darkness? Tonight, fate would intervene. Lena roamed farther than usual, desperation driving her to search near the castle, the last bastion of power in a realm steeped in suffering. She needed food, any scrap to quell her child's cries. Just one piece of bread, just a fleeting moment where hunger couldn't gnaw at her insides. As she scoured the ground, she stumbled upon a hidden entrance within the palace's decrepit walls. A strange wind pulled her closer. The scent of death crept forth, mingling with the echoes of distant moans. Something deep inside her stirred, a flicker of instinct urging her onward. What was it? Curiosity? Or an undeniable pull to an unseen truth? In one breath, she stepped across a threshold that veiled her from the world she had known. The darkness enveloped her, a shroud of uncertainty thick like fog. Heart racing, Lena entered, and there he was. Valdrin, the mighty Lycan King, reduced to nothing but a shell, his body racked with tremors as he fought a battle against his own demons. Eyes closed, lost in fevered dreams. He appeared so fragile, a stark contrast to the ferocity she had imagined. Something flickered within her, a mixture of fear, anger, and an unexpected thread of empathy. This was the man who had oppressed her people, yet here he lay, suffering. What was she doing? She should run. She should scream. Instead, something deeper stirred in her heart. She felt drawn to him, the man behind the crown. Would she dare approach? There was a choice standing before her, one that would change everything. But as Lena moved closer, heart pounding like war drums in her chest, she felt the impossibility of it all. Would she become a savior or a fool? The air thickened as Lena drew nearer. The sharp scent of sickness choked her breath, but she pushed through. The flicker of a candle danced in the corner, illuminating the contours of Valdrin's pale face. His brow was slick with sweat, lips parted as if caught in a desperate plea that only the shadows could understand. What brought her here? What madness coursed in her veins? She was a widow, a woman stripped of pride and possessions. How could she even think to help a king? But as she looked down at him, something inside her stirred, an ember of compassion flickering against the frost of distrust. Her fingers trembled as she reached for him. Would he recoil? Would those strong arms, once feared, become a weapon in his delirium? Yet, when her hand brushed against his forehead, she felt something shift. His skin burned with fever, and her heart twisted at the thought of this man, once a tyrant, now vulnerable. She felt pity. She felt fear. More than that, she sensed an undeniable connection, a bond forged in suffering. Just as she had struggled, he too fought a battle against fate. "You're going to be okay," she whispered, though remorse tugged at her. Would he even want her help? But something compelled her forward. His chest heaved beneath her palm. The rhythm of his breath felt like the beat of a war drum. She wasn't sure if she was a savior or a fool, but she knew she would not leave him to wither alone. Days morphed into haze as Lena tended to Valdrin. Each morning, she arrived with hope wrapped in rags, carrying her meager supplies, a few scraps of food, fresh water, and the occasional leaf from a healer's herb garden. And every day, Valdrin remained locked in his fevered tableau, but little by little, her care seeped into his consciousness. When his eyes finally flickered open, confusion clouded their depths. What are you doing here?" His voice, gravelly and weak, sent tremors through her. She straightened, the urgency returning. "I'm here to help. Why would you help me?" A challenge, an accusation even, but something softer lingered beneath. "Because," she hesitated, the weight of honesty weighing on her heart, "I believe everyone deserves a chance at redemption, even you." The shadows shifted around them, a wall of unspoken truths. He watched her, those fierce eyes scanning for deceit, for ulterior motives. In that moment, they were two unlikely souls tethered by pain, one a once-feared king, the other a helpless widow, both on the brink of collapse, yet somehow still fighting. Days passed slowly in their strange cocoon. The castle walls, once oppressively grand, transformed with each tender exchange. Lena shared snippets of her life. "I had a husband once. A good man," her voice cracked. "He died, and I've had to learn to survive in this city. Each day is a struggle for food, for safety, for my child." Valdrin's expression softened, a flicker of understanding lighting in his eyes. "You don't fear me? Should I?" Her gaze held steady. "You're a king who suffers as I do. Perhaps there's truth in both our lives." Their worlds collided. A noble man rendered powerless, a woman enriched by suffering. With every moment together, they peeled away the layers of their armor. A flicker of camaraderie ignited in the air, thick with healing. As Valdrin regained strength, Lena's heart danced on a precipice, teetering between hope and fear. "What happens when you get better?" she asked one day, anxiety lacing her words. "Will you return to being the ruler everyone feared?" His eyes darkened. "I don't know what I will become. This kingdom is a burden I can scarcely carry now." Healthy again, but still haunted by shadows, Valdrin found comfort in her presence. The feeble whispers of his old life stalked him even in recovery. A battle brewed within, a yearning for the throne fought against the ghosts of those he had wronged. But danger loomed on the horizon, wrapped in the machinations of those loyal to the crown. His sickness had left a gap, and vultures stirred outside the castle walls. Rumors spread of his decay, whispers curious and dangerous. They sought to exploit his vulnerabilities, unaware that he was slowly regaining strength, nudged along by the presence of the woman who had dared to care. "Can you feel them?" he asked one night, as darkness thickened around them. "The ones waiting for me to die?" Lena's breath caught. "What do you plan to do?" "They will sense my strength returning. They will see a king once more when I stand tall. But I will not be the same king they remember." A steeliness crept into his voice, but uncertainty marred his brow. "Then forge a new path," Lena implored. "But promise me you won't repeat the mistakes of the past." Could she be the catalyst for change? In the contrasting shadows of their lives, a strange bond formed. Each became the other's savior. But could it last? Another day of healing dawned, the shadow of doubt still lurking. How many burdens could one heart bear? A storm brewed within her, and soon, the fabric of their burgeoning connection would be tested in ways neither of them could anticipate. But for now, they had each other. Two unlikely allies defined by suffering, wandering toward the possibility of redemption. Their connection grew stronger as days passed, but soon, fate would alter their fragile equilibrium. Shadows danced on the walls, flickering lights reminding them that the world outside was unyielding, merciless. Valdrin's strength surged back, fed by Lena's unwavering support. and yet whispers echoed within the halls, catching wind, crawling like rats. The others, the noblemen and confidants who had flourished in his weakness, could smell change in the air. They plotted, meeting in secrecy, most unaware that the foul scent of decay had receded. Even as Valdrin regained his composure, the secrets within the castle's heart stirred restlessly. "They won't stop," he said, eyes piercing through the dimness. "They'll see me as a threat, a king reborn. They want control. This palace has been their playground while I lay at death's door." Lena swallowed back fear. "But you're stronger now. You have me. We can face them together." A flash of irritation crossed his features. "You don't understand. It's not just power they want. It's me, the tyrant they believe I am, and they'll use anything to keep me chained to the image I've created." Their trust had grown, but as the echoes of his past decisions clawed at Valdrin, the weight of inevitability pressed down. She sensed the storm brewing beyond the walls, felt the tension radiating from him like heat. "What are you planning?" she asked, each syllable a delicate dance, echoing concern. Before he could answer, a loud crash resounded from the entrance hall, raising both their heads. "What was that?" Lena breathed, heart thudding. Valdrin shot to his feet, the strength returning to his limbs apparent and raw. "Stay back!" He reached for a dagger hidden beneath his cloak, instincts barking to regain control. Lena's heart raced, but she clasped her hands together, fingers digging into her palms. She couldn't be a spectator now. As he padded towards the door, Lena followed closely, reminding herself that they were two halves in battle. They had fought tirelessly, and now the tide waited to strike. Stepping beyond the threshold into the entrance hall, the sight before them was chaos. A cluster of nobles, men loyal to Valdrin's dynasty but blinded by ambition, argued loudly. Anger raged in their voices, the air thick with threats and discontent. "Your Majesty! You are needed!" a voice boomed, drenched in command. A noble who had been a distant family member stood tall among them. "The people of Eldoria are restless. We cannot allow the rumors of a weak king to fester. We must remind them of your strength." "Strength?" Valdrin scoffed, eyes flashing. "Is this what you call strength? Lording over the people while I lay in a sickbed?" He stepped forward, his presence imposing. The nobles flinched momentarily. The king's strength radiated, shaking the foundations they so hoped to exploit. "You question your own rule?" Another nobleling sneered, tension crackling like thunder. "A king must assert power, not lose it." Valdrin's gaze shifted to Lena, who stood off to the side, her heart pounding. Confusion and fear battled in her chest. The nobles didn't care for him, they cared only about their positions. And if Valdrin wasn't careful, they would consume him whole. "Silence!" Valdrin's voice boomed through the crowd. "You've turned my weakness into an opportunity for your own gain. But I will not submit. I will not wear a tyrant's crown again." A murmur passed through the crowd, admiration and fear mixing like oil and water. Lena stood frozen, torn between Valdrin's fiery declaration and the need for caution. They were at a precipice. Would his reclaiming of power lead to a future burdened with the same chains he had forged? "Return to your homes," he commanded, his tone brokering no argument. "You'll await the day when I address the people. If I am to lead, it will not be out of fear, but out of respect." But the nobles were unwilling to relent. One stepped forward, a dangerous gleam in his eye. "Respect must be earned, Your Majesty, and you would do well to remember that." With that, the shouts crescendoed. Shadows waned and then burst, straining atmospheres heavy with tension. They had gathered like vultures, all circling in search of an opportunity. "Valdrin!" Lena shouted, darting toward him. "You must be careful. They will not stand for this." But he shook his head. "It's time to reclaim what belongs to me. I cannot hide behind illness any longer. It is no longer a refuge, but a prison." In the chaos, Valdrin's resolve wavered, and Lena stepped closer. Their connection, woven with threads of shared pain and struggle, felt like an anchor. She whispered, "Please, just promise you'll lead with compassion. Don't become what you once were." Compassion? The word hung between them as fragile as spun glass. Time held its breath, He hesitated, eyes caught in turmoil. "You've changed me, Lena. I can't go back to who I was." A noble sneered, eyes narrow and cunning. "And what if your compassionate heart costs you your crown? You risk losing everything for a fleeting dream." "Dream?" Valdrin's brows furrowed as he weighed the words. But Lena saw determination ignite within him, a fire that she hoped would burn with purpose this time. "Together," she replied, grasping his arm, her voice low but fierce. "With every decision, choose the path of forgiveness." The tension froze, a silent battle standoff, but Valdrin stood straighter. The spirit they had conjured together grew around them. "Together," he said firmly, meeting her gaze with resolve. But would hope carry them through when the lines of loyalty blurred and shadows loomed? Only time would tell. A storm beyond comprehension heeded their stride, and their fight was only beginning. The winds of change were heavy with potential, but within every current lay a challenge, one neither of them could foresee. The days following the confrontation were charged, the air heavy with anticipation. Valdrin's newfound strength clashed with the lingering shadows of doubt hovering over him. Lena found herself at the edge of a precipice, peering into an uncertain abyss. She'd watched him boldly reclaim his voice, but the price of power weighed like iron chains. Each morning began with the sun creeping through dust-laden windows, illuminating the room where they had shared secrets and dreams. But the echoes of the past haunted Valdrin. He spent hours staring out at the kingdom he had ruled, a world marred by his decisions. "What do you see?" Lena asked one morning, unable to quell her curiosity, drawing her knees to her chest and watching him. "A fractured kingdom," Valdrin admitted, voice rough. "One built on fear and dominance." His gaze turned sharp, narrowing as if he could project the weight of his words onto the landscape beyond. "I have to change that. I want more for my people." A sense of urgency crackled in the air between them. "Then you must visit the village. See the reality of your kingdom beyond these walls. Speak to them, not just from the throne, but as a man trying to redeem himself." "Of course, I can talk to them." "But will they listen?" Valdrin countered, frustration stirring within him. "What do I know of their lives, their struggles? I am a king who has never had to lower himself to their plight." "But what you do have is a heart that wants to change. You understand pain. You've lived it," Lena insisted, rising from her place. "You will show them you're not the monster they fear, but a man longing for forgiveness. Begin with honesty." Awareness crystallized in Valdrin's expression. He stood. "You're right." A quiet fire ignited in his eyes. "Change begins with humility. I will go to them." And that, like a chain reaction, sent a rush of determination coursing through Lena as well. They spent the next few days preparing, gathering supplies, choosing words, and formulating a plan. Not everyone in the castle would support what he wanted to do, and that was evident in the watchful eyes of the noble council. Suspicious of Valdrin's discomfort with the throne, whispers grew. The tension amongst them thickened as the stakes escalated. They believed compassion had weakened him, and they underestimated the bond he shared with Lena. Finally, the day came. Valdrin donned a cloak, its fabric heavy but imbued with newfound resolve. The air outside felt different as they stepped onto the cobbled streets of Eldoria together. The village spread out before him, its people bustling with life, a stark contrast to the oppressive silence of the castle. Children played, laughter overlapping every shout and cheer. The scent of baked bread wafted through the air, wrapping around him like a bittersweet reminder of simpler days. But as they approached, the mirthful scene began to still. People ceased their chatter, gnarled faces turning with puzzled expressions. Valdrin felt as though a gavel had slammed down, and silence reigned. A wall rose between him and the village, a barrier forged through years of unyielding rule. But he pressed forward, Lena by his side, heart pounding. She squeezed his hand, grounding him. "Please," he started, voice breaking through the air of apprehension. "Allow me to speak. I know the pain I've caused, the burdens my crown has forced upon you. I'm here to listen." Murmurs erupted, skepticism palpable. A woman stepped forward, determination gleaming in her eyes. "You think words can erase the fear we lived under? You, the king who has bled us dry?" "This is not a plea for pity," he responded, desperation flickering in his tone. "This is my attempt to earn your trust. I can't correct my wrongs alone. I want to lead differently, with you in my corner." A murmur climbed, building like a storm. People exchanged looks tinged with caution. He could see their hesitation, and it tore at him. The silence stretched, a taut wire ready to snap. "Speak, then?" the woman challenged. "Prove to us you've changed." Valdrin took a deep breath. Determination flowed through his veins. "I will hold no power that cannot be shared with the people I serve, and I won't turn my back on the struggles faced within these walls. Together, we will reclaim our kingdom. Together, we can build a new future." And in that declaration, Valdrin felt a warm surge within his chest. But would it be enough to sway their hearts? The weight of expectations wasn't lost on him. He was asking for redemption from those he had failed. The murmurs now simmered quietly, uncertainty mingling with the echo of his words. "You must prove it," Lena whispered to him, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "Then I will," he replied, steeling himself against the confrontation. "Show me where they suffer. Let me bring change." And he did. That day, he walked from house to house, sharing stories, bearing witness to struggles of the villagers' daily lives. He listened to their laments and their wishes, and the weight of their pain shattered the isolated realm of the castle. Men spoke of loss, mothers lamented their starving children, and the elderly shared tales of times when they felt safe, sheltered under his reign, before his descent into tyranny. With every interaction, Valdrin chipped away at the wall rising between him and the villagers. It was powerful to bear witness to their realities, life's burdens rough-hewn into their expressions. There were tears, anger, but also glimmers of hope. And there was Lena, steadfast as stone, watching him forge connections bloom in the rubble of his past choices. Yet, inside, a storm of doubt brewed. Would the hearts of the villagers truly forgive and allow him to build something new, or would they forever see him as the tyrant he once was? After hours of walking and listening, Valdrin paused at a central plaza where the village had gathered. Their eyes were fixed on him, some confusion still lingering. "You have begun to open a wound," the woman from earlier ventured, her voice steadied. "Now you must allow us to be part of that healing." "I can't do it without you," Valdrin replied, eyes blazing with sincerity. "With each grievance acknowledged, we rewrite our future together. Will you stand with me?" One by one, villagers began to step forward. Hesitant fingers reached out, but fear still lurked. Together they stood, Valdrin at the forefront, embodying change, yet still tethered to Lena's unwavering strength. With each acceptance came palpable tension, questions unanswered but lives intertwined, hopes ignited. But the danger of their kingdom still loomed, a rising darkness lurking at the edges, brewing with discontent. Their true battle had just begun, and while change took form, Valdrin knew the hearts of those loyal to his past would not yield without a fierce fight. The stakes were high, but so were the rewards. Time would determine whether Valdrin would lead them to salvation or plunge them into chaos once more. But they had a chance, woven into the collective heart of the village. And as they embarked on this unpredictable path together, Lena clasped Valdrin's hand once more, grounding them both amid the uncertainty, reminded that change was a force that could not merely sweep away the past, but could instead transform it into something beautiful. The journey ahead was daunting, but together, through every battle and trial, they would carve a path toward a brighter future. Therein lay their hope, forged in vulnerability and tempered with resilience. The alliance forged in the village turned from hope to uncertainty as Valdrin and Lena became acutely aware of the shadows closing in around them. Despite the warmth of acceptance from the villagers, there were still adversaries lurking, those loyal to the old regime, waiting to take advantage of Valdrin's unsteady grasp on power. Days blurred into a whirlwind of preparation. Valdrin knew he must confront these lurking threats head-on, but every council meeting grew increasingly tense. Noble voices echoed off the stone walls, dripping with disdain. "Your kindness is foolishness, Valdrin," one noble pointedly remarked. "Compassion shows weakness. The Watchers wait for you to stumble, ready to strike." Valdrin's fists clenched, his patience thinning. I will not be a king sustained by fear. If I have to choose between compassion and tyranny, I choose compassion. But while you choose that path, chaos brews. Another noble fired back. The villagers cannot be trusted to reinforce your rule, and their hope may just be a flimsy facade. Enough, Lena interjected, fierce conviction igniting her voice. This castle has thrived on fear for too long. Valdrin seeks redemption, and we must all support this vision for our kingdom. Yet dissent hung like fog, smothering them. The whispers of the watchers, the shadowy figures threatening Valdrin's new reign, grew more pronounced. As that darkness unfolded, Valdrin and Lena conceived a daring plan in response. It was time for a gathering, a moon festival that would unite village and kingdom alike, where Valdrin could directly engage with his people and share his vision. We will show them that we are stronger together, Valdrin stated, his voice determined. The night of the moon festival arrived, lanterns illuminating the square, excitement palpable in the air. Valdrin stood before the gathered villagers, faces illuminated by flickering lights, eyes reflecting the warmth of forgive hope. This night is not just a celebration, but a rebirth for our kingdom, he declared. We must stand united against the shadows that threaten our very existence. Cheers erupted, filling the square with energy. Lena felt her heart swell, sensing the fervor igniting around them. Here lay strength among vulnerability. Bit by bit, the villagers began to share their stories of hardship, recognizing their collective power. But hidden among the crowd, danger lurked. Figures shrouded in shadow loomed, nerves prickling in anticipation. The watchers had infiltrated the gathering. Just as Valdrin prepared to speak further, a voice cut through the air. You stand here, flaunting your reign, while betrayal festers underground. A watcher stepped forward, eyes blazing with contempt. Valdrin's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through him. What do you want? He demanded, his stance unwavering. Are you here to sow discord? Power is a fickle thing, King, the watcher replied, narrowing his eyes, a cruel smile playing on his lips. You will find that compassion can carve you deep. Panic swept through the crowd. The watchers didn't care for their hope. They thrived on chaos. Lena's grip tightened on Valdrin's arm, and with a deep breath, he addressed the crowd. No one stands alone. Valdrin's voice boomed, firm and resolute. We stand united against any threat. This new kingdom I envision is not born of fear, but of collaboration. Villagers began to echo his words, rallying around him, the tension transforming into solidarity. The watchers shrank back, realizing the unity fueled by Valdrin's vision was powerful, yet they weren't finished. From the shadows, one watcher lunged forward, attempting to disrupt the unity Valdrin fought so hard to establish. Your compassion only weakens you, they screamed. You will regret this. Chaos unfurled, and the crowd erupted in panic. Valdrin stepped into the fray, his heart pounding as he neared the watcher. You may seek to divide us, but our strength will prevail. As the crowd began to rally, the energy transformed into a wave of courage. They stood together, a living, breathing wall against the storm brewing within their midst. Lena shouted beside Valdrin, We resist darkness through unity. Let them come. But the watchers would not back down easily. Valdrin finally realized that to stand tall meant confronting the threat head-on. Let's reveal the truth, he called to the villagers. Together we can dismantle the lies and build strength from honesty. The villagers responded with resounding cheers, and as Valdrin lifted his chin, the resolve in their eyes anchored him. He was no longer just a king. He was a rallying beacon of hope. And yet, in that moment of clarity, Valdrin recognized the real danger. The watchers would not simply retreat, but instead cultivate more chaos. We must meet this challenge with courage, he murmured to Lena. Our battle is only beginning. Their eyes locked, and Lena offered him reassurance through the storm. With a firm grip of her hand, Valdrin turned back to the crowd. We take joy in our victories, but remain vigilant against those who would tear us apart. The stakes had never been higher, but as Valdrin surveyed the gathered villagers, one thing became clear. In the face of adversity, they would rise together. Each member of the community would hold their ground. Would he lead them into the dawn of a new era, or plunge them into chaos once again? One thing was certain, the resolve of a community was an unstoppable force, and Valdrin, alongside Lena, would do whatever it took to ensure this change wasn't merely a fleeting dream, but a reality worth fighting for. Together, they would shape the future, a tapestry woven from their resilience, courage, and, above all, unwavering connection. The air hung thick with tension, a palpable energy pulsing through the villagers as Valdrin faced the challenge ahead. The Watchers stood before him, their dark presence a stark reminder of the discord they sought to spread. Yet, Valdrin felt the warmth of unity wrap around him like a protective shield. "Together!" he shouted, rallying the villagers. "We will push back the darkness. This moment defines us." Lena stood confidently at his side, her voice weaving through the crowd. "We are not just survivors. We are a community. We will not let fear bind us." As the whispers of uncertainty quieted, they locked arms, a testament to their solidarity. Valdrin felt the strength of their connection ripple through him, igniting an unquenchable fire. They refused to let the shadows consume them. With a disdainful sneer, the lead Watcher stepped forward, signaling their intent. "You think these bonds will save you? You are all fools." Valdrin stepped closer, his heart racing. "No, we are strong because we stand together. Your threats only unite us further." "The night is far from over," the Watcher retorted, unleashing dark tendrils aimed at the villagers. "Hold firm," Valdrin commanded, feeling the resilience of those at his side. "This is our home!" As the shadows surged forth, Lena shouted again. "We will protect what we love. Fight for your families, your neighbors. We stand as one." The villagers found their voices as the shadows reached them. The tendrils recoiled as their unity became an unfaltering barrier. His heart surged with pride as their collective strength pushed back against the darkness. "Show them our power," Valdrin urged. "We fight as a family." The tension in the air exploded, energy radiating from the villagers as they pushed back against the Watchers. The shadows began to falter, retreating in the face of unwavering courage. Lena squeezed Valdrin's hand tightly, grounding him amidst the chaos. The jubilant chants enriched the charged atmosphere. Valdrin, Lena, together, filled the air, a chant growing louder, more fervent. Just when it seemed victory was near, another wave of dark figures emerged from the shadows. "You think you've won?" Another Watcher sneered, gathering their strength. Valdrin felt fear tug at him, but Lena's determination ignited hope. "Together!" she called out. The villagers connected deeper, creating an unyielding wall of light against the overwhelming dark. "United we stand!" they roared in unison, a mantra blooming from their hearts. With a final charge, Valdrin led the villagers forward, the energy of their community compressing into a force that radiated pure light. As they rushed toward the Watchers, the shadows began to dissolve, retreating at last. In a final desperate cry, the leader of the Watchers attempted to rally his forces. "You will regret this day," they lashed out, but the villagers pressed on, fueled by the fire of unity. A brilliant light enveloped them as they surged forward, more powerful than the darkness that threatened to overwhelm them. Every villager knew they fought for one another, for their dreams of a brighter future. "A brighter future," Valdrin repeated, as the light pushed the shadows out and away, the Watchers collapsing into nothingness. As the dust settled and silence returned, the first rays of dawn began to break over the horizon, a testament to their victory. Valdrin scanned the crowd and awe washed over him. The villagers stood tall, hearts beating in triumph. Lena threw her arms around Valdrin, joy radiating from her. "Together we did it." "Yes, together," he echoed, filled with gratitude. "But it's only the beginning." The villagers cheered, reveling in the warmth of shared accomplishment. "What comes next?" someone asked, excitement fluttering in the air. Valdrin stepped forward, emboldened by their unity. "We will build a kingdom where every voice matters. We'll nurture this spirit of togetherness. Together, we'll create a safe haven." In the coming days, Valdrin and Lena worked tirelessly to celebrate their victory and lay down the foundations for a new era. The village buzzed with renewed energy as they exchanged stories, shared dreams, and embraced one another. As time passed, Valdrin found joy in each moment spent serving his people, knowing change came from within. The bonds that had been forged in battle became a beacon of hope, steadily guiding them forward. Years later, Valdrin stood at the center of a vibrant village, laughter ringing in his ears and familiar faces all around him. "This is our kingdom," he declared, clarity shining in his eyes. "And it flourishes because we stand together." The villagers erupted into applause, their hearts swelling with pride and love. Each moment they had faced, every dark shadow they had conquered, had led to this, an enduring legacy built from unity. As Valdrin looked at Lena, standing by his side, he whispered, "Together, we've built a future." "Yes," she replied, squeezing his hand, "and together, we will protect it." In that moment, beneath the warm sun and amidst the vibrant life they had nurtured, they knew their journey continued. They had faced down darkness, and now, together, they would shine brighter than ever.